I tried the play one game at a time method for over a month now, and today I want to tell you what actually happened. Did it make gaming fun again? Did I stick to it? What worked? What didn't? And was it even worth doing? The idea itself isn't new. Before Game Pass, endless online sales, and massive digital libraries, most of us didn't have hundreds of games waiting to be played. You'd walk into a store, pick a game because hell, the cover looked cool, or you read about it in a gaming magazine. You take it home, and that was your game. You played it until you finished it, or you couldn't stand it anymore. Oh, and even then, there were options like trade it with a friend for something you did like. Remember when you could do that? Games like Skyrim kept me entertained for hundreds of hours because I wasn't constantly thinking about the next thing to play. I was completely immersed in that world. It also felt like everyone else at school was too. We would talk about mages, assassins, thieves, how there were rumors of dragon riders. Because of the lack of internet, guides were also pretty scarce and shared via Bluetooth, or you'd have a friend come and sleep over and he would help you. Now it's different. We have access to almost everything all of the time. Open Game Pass, download a game, play for 20 minutes, uninstall it, move to the next one. Even if you are enjoying that game, there's always something better waiting for you. At least that's what we tell ourselves. Now we can indulge in almost any game we want. We're gaming gluttons, except at least gluttons finish what's on their plates. We've become so used to endless choice that we rarely stick with one game long enough to truly appreciate it or get lost in it. Subscription services have also changed our relationship with games. We're not really building a collection anymore, we're borrowing access. The games are only yours for as long as you keep paying, kind of like prostitution. More unsettling is how long will these digital games even remain in our libraries for? That makes it much easier to treat games as disposable, always chasing the next download instead of getting lost in the one you're already playing. So I decided to go back to the way I used to play games, not because modern games are bad or anything like that, even though indies really are carrying hard. It's because I'm just tired of constantly chasing the next shiny new game. I mostly played older games for this video, and I gave this experiment an honest shot. To keep myself accountable, I made a few simple rules. First, I could only play one game at a time, and I had to finish it before moving on to the next one. The only exception was if I genuinely wasn't enjoying it after about 2 hours. There's no point in forcing yourself through a game you don't like or you're just not gelling with. Don't force yourself to hate a potentially good game. Just wait and play it when you're in the right mood for it. Second, I limited how much I played. I didn't want gaming to become something I mindlessly did every evening. I wanted to actually miss games again, to look forward to jumping back into that world instead of burning myself out. And finally, whenever I wasn't gaming, I tried to do something a bit more productive or meaningful, whether that was editing a YouTube video, getting outside, exercising, or just spending less time doom scrolling and consuming brain rot online. Originally, I planned to do this over just like 2 weeks, but that didn't feel long enough, to say anything meaningful. So I stuck with it for over a month now. To keep things organized, I'm going to answer some questions I asked myself before I started and see whether this experiment actually changed the way I play games. I will answer the questions off script, and I got my friend to ask me the questions, and I did tell him to have fun with how he asks them, so we'll see how that ends up. These are the results.
No, why did you decide to play only one game at a time?
So the reason I decided just to play one game at a time is because I'm just kind of tired of the modern gaming scene. The last great game I played, I think, was probably Clay Obscure, and then it would just be, I would try to stick with one game, but with Game Pass, there's just so many options, and I just keep downloading a game, playing for 10 minutes, or even worse, getting halfway through the game and then just dropping it for another game. I then kind of took a massive break and went with indie games, and I went down a rabbit hole of indie games, and that was great. That was really great. But then my big mistake was I overdid it, especially with the last. I played indie games for a whole month. I would play so many different indie games, and I just didn't gel well with them. And I think it was because I was forcing myself to try and make another video like that. And I just thought it was time to have a reset, just have a bit more structure to how I play games. And I also kind of used that with structuring my day and my routine. And another thing is I miss missing games. I know that sounds weird saying it like that, but I remember when I was younger, I used to go to school, and I couldn't wait to come back. I couldn't wait to come back to the world of Skyrim or whatever the game was that I was playing. Yeah, and I want that back. Hopefully in this experiment, I get some of that back.
What game did you start with, and why did you choose it?
So the game I decided to start with was Ocarina of Time, and it's a game that I've never played before. Hell, it's my first Zelda game as well as being my first Nintendo game ever. So that was already very exciting, and that's why I thought it was just right for my experiment. I'd also watched another YouTuber, and he made Legend of Zelda philosophy videos, or he had Legend of Zelda gameplay in the background and would talk about philosophy, and I really got hooked into the chill gameplay in the background, and I was like, I should maybe try Legend of Zelda out as well. And I also just wanted to take a step back from playing so many newer releases and actually just go try out some classics. And I mean, I'm pretty sure, if I'm mistaken, correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is like the highest rated game on Metacritic, so that was also a good reason for starting with this game. So my expectations were pretty high going in, and I was also 100% sure that it would be able to keep my attention because I had a slight little bit of hype for it.
How did you actually play the game?
The first thing I did was I limited my playtime by quite a lot. I didn't want to just play games in every little bit of free time that I had. If I did that, I wouldn't end up missing the game. So I took my time instead of rushing. If something popped up, like I had to go somewhere or do something, I rather did that. Even if I didn't have to, I would take breaks from the game at any chance that I would. Not because I hated the game, but because I wanted to give myself that distance. And in doing that, I actually did end up missing the game quite a lot. And I got when I played again, I got sucked up right back in that world and I was immersed. I was enjoying every moment of it. I was having fun again. And even when I would go to my self-defense classes or, other boring things like going shopping, I would listen to the soundtrack of the game and that would hype me up. I would think about the side missions that I did or the dungeons that I had explored. And yeah, it felt kind of special. I know it's really corny to say, but it felt special and I was enjoying myself again. Another thing that I do is I actually allowed myself to get frustrated when I got stuck on puzzles and things, because Ocarina of Time has some challenging puzzle sections later on in the game, and I did use guides, but at points I didn't. I got frustrated, I put the game off, I went for a walk, checked on my beehives, gave my chicken some snacks, picked gooseberries. Hell, I did anything else but play games, and I think that actually helped a lot as well. Because I think we also used to just Googling and seeing, or researching a guide and seeing how you complete things, and I also didn't want that. I wanted to try, just push myself a little bit and see if I could actually, figure out some of these puzzles. Sure, I was too dumb for some of them, but for the most part, I was quite impressed. I was quite impressed with myself.
What was the hardest part of the experiment?
Good question. I think one of the hardest parts was definitely the temptation to switch games because, like I said before, I did get frustrated, and in those points of frustration, usually what I would do, and I really fell badly into this, is when I hit a hot spot in a game, I would just move on to the next game and I would just completely stop. And I actually ended up doing that with a game that I was having a great time with, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is like a medieval simulation game. And man, I wish I just finished it, and I kept doing that. The thing is, I kept repeating the cycle of, ooh, the game's hard now, play the next one until I hit another hard point, and then it was a bad cycle, a really bad cycle. And also there was the fear, or FOMO, the fear of missing out on new releases or sales. But what I did was, as well as limiting my screen time, like I completely stopped watching shorts or Instagram reels. Sure, I would relapse every now and again, but it was not like just before bed, watching an hour of, stupid shit online. I would watch like a full YouTube video, or I wouldn't watch any YouTube videos at all. And that also kept me just off of my phone for the most part. So I wouldn't go on to the Xbox store and go check what sales I was missing out on. I would just leave that alone and just stay away from it. I don't even know what's on Game Pass. I also don't want to know. I don't want to fall back into that. I just don't want to fall back into that. I'm sticking to the rules. Sure, there were days where I wanted something different. There were like 1 or 2 points in Ocarina of Time that I did get bored, but I allowed myself to get bored. And that's okay. Yeah, when I was younger, I also got bored at games, and that's a good thing. You're allowed to get bored, and then, when I was younger, I'd go pick up a stick and hit a tree, and now that I'm older, I went outside, picked up a stick, and hit a tree, and it really did help a lot still. And yeah, those are pretty much the hardest parts of this experiment for me.
Did this experiment change the way that you experienced games?
So yes, definitely, this experiment definitely did change the way that I experienced games. I mean, like I said before, I was already way more immersed. I appreciated what I was playing because I wasn't playing as often. So it actually gave me a little bit of time just to take things slow, appreciate the world that I was in. I was like taking screenshots of sunsets and really taking it slow. And like just walking around and looking at things. And that usually means you're pretty damn immersed. I wasn't thinking of other games as well while I was playing. So that was also great. I was like focused. I liked it.
What happened after you finished your first game?
So after finishing Ocarina of Time, which such a good game, I decided to make a YouTube video on my entire experience with it. So that took about 2 weeks of editing. And in that time, I didn't really play any video games. So I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to play next. And I landed on the video game of the King Kong movie. And this was great. I mean, usually movie tie-in video games are crap, but this blew me away. It's super immersive. Firstly, there's no HUD. You can't see how much ammo you have. I mean, the character has to tell you like, 4 shells left. And you fight dinosaurs. I mean, do I have to say more? It's actually on the topic of dinosaurs, this is a great dinosaur game. I mean, this is one of the best dinosaur games I've ever played, and it's a King Kong game. I mean, you go through you doing little puzzles, fighting dinosaurs, and kind of just moving through the movie. And there's certain points as well, a little bit less entertaining, where you play as King Kong. And I don't want this to become a King Kong video. Let's move on. I actually wanted my next game to be Majora's Mask, or The Legend of Zelda Majora's Masks, but I decided against it. I didn't want Zelda fatigue, and it was difficult because my Ocarina of Time video is my most successful video. It became my most successful video, so I wanted to hit right into that trend. But I just told myself to chillax, and I chose another game, and it was called Gun. It's a little Western game, and I'm a massive Western fan. I love the I love the Call of Juarez games. I love the Red Dead Redemption games. I love all Western media. So I had a lot of fun with Gun, and I'm not going to do a deep dive on it or anything, but it was super, chaotic, super gruesome, and just a lot of damn fun. I mean, if you have a saloon gunfight in a Western game, it's a good Western game. I'm also now currently busy with a game that I never expected I would ever play in 100 years, and that is Kingdom Hearts 1. And I always looked in on this game as kind of really cringy, and I would make fun of my friend for playing it. But yeah, I actually understand now after playing it for a bit, and this is a really good game. Yes, there are cringy moments, but wow, this game has a lot of heart and a lot of charm, and I'm having an absolute blast with it. This is actually my current video project, and I'm going to make a video on this entire game. I'm just loving it so much. There are a few problems and things, but I did not expect to go into this enjoying it, and it's difficult to recommend it to people looking in from the outside. But yeah, that's what I'm busy with right now. I was now definitely more selective about what I was going to play. I would do quite a lot of research because I didn't want to like skimp out on games and ruin the challenge for myself. It's easy to fall back into old routines, so I didn't do that. And after Gun, I did just decide to sit down and play Majora's Mask. And in actually just taking some time and thinking what I wanted to play, I started to get excited about the next game, and instead of getting overwhelmed by choice. That was nice.
Was the one game at a time method actually worth it?
The simple answer is yes. The hardest part for me definitely was those first 2 weeks because I was so used to just bouncing around games that, I didn't know how it felt anymore just to stick with one. It felt weird. I can also see why FOMO is such a huge hurdle. It's easy to tell yourself just to play whatever you're in the mood for, especially when a new game comes out and everybody's talking about it and hyping it up. And honestly, I think that's a completely fair argument. Most of us don't have unlimited time to play games, so why not spend that time playing whatever you feel like? The problem is, I think that's exactly why our backlogs are getting so out of control. What helped me the most was severely limiting my screen time and cutting back on social media. The less I saw trailers, new releases, or people talking about the latest games, the less I felt like I was missing out. I didn't know what was happening. I was keeping myself in the darkness, and it actually helped. I also think this depends on, person to person. Some people would rather spend 30 hours getting lost in an RPG, while others might prefer finishing shorter action games. Neither approach is wrong. And to be honest, I don't think you have to limit yourself to just one game forever. I think it's completely possible to play 2 games at once, especially if they're very different. For example, I could easily see myself playing like Subnautica 2 when the homies hop online, while playing Ocarina of Time in my when I'm alone and my friends aren't online. Those games scratch completely different itches, so I don't think they take away from each other at all. For me though, changing my routine and focusing on one game at a time made me appreciate the game I was playing so much more. I became more immersed in its world, looked forward to coming back to it, and when I got bored or frustrated, I stopped playing games altogether and did something else instead of immediately switching to another game. I actually went out and did some other things, like in the real world, which I didn't expect to do. And I feel like also just building a routine for myself was also quite helpful and important. I don't know if playing one game at a time is the answer for everyone, but I do think giving a game your full attention, even if it's just for a while, can completely change the way you experience it. Anyways, guys, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. Do you prefer sticking to one game, or do you like having a few games that you switch between? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.